Hello, 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 and welcome in to Beyond the Den, brought to you by Bear Claw Media and presented by Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue in Greeley, Colorado, offering specialty all-beef hot dogs, savory sides, plus a self-pour beer bowl. Perfect setting for a family outing or a night out with friends. Stop by and hashtag Beat the Craving today. I am Chris Bolin, joined as always by Ben Schleiger. Ben, how you doing, buddy? What a weekend.
My head hurts. Let's not talk about the pick'em. The pick'em went bad. the FCS is competitive? Question mark? I don't know, dude. Like, South Dakota State is a mess without their quarterback. Idaho State is all of a sudden a world killer again. Davian Brooks had over 200 yards. Like, we told you he was a fucking problem. He killed us. Just like across the board, just like people get mowed down. I think the only like true like good beat was Abilene Christian did take down Tarleton State, put a blemish on their record for sure. And I think the other good one, I've been talking them up all year. I know they have a terrible record. Southern Utah laps Austin Peay. I know they're 4-5, but like you look at the strength of schedule of Southern Utah,
They were 2 and
granted, we need to go into math ratings and actually figure it out. But they played in just a horrendous schedule. Like, sure, they lost to San Diego. Let's throw that out the window because it was overtime. But they lost to NAU by 3. They beat Idaho State handedly. Lost to UC Davis, good team. West Georgia beat them by 3, good team. Tarleton beat them by 10, good team. They beat Abilene Christian. So what do we do with that if Southern Utah wins out? And they might
legitimately be a playoff team if they go 7-5. With that, like
4-5 Eastern Kentucky, 3-6 Central Arkansas, and 2-7 North Alabama. I feel like this is a fringe playoff team if they win out. Like,
this is going to be fun.
It's weird. Like a next year Big Sky team could be making the playoffs as a last 4 in.
Which is
just a wild week.
And what's funny is their schedule's going to get harder next year. Like, going to the Big Sky, they're somehow still going to have a tougher schedule, which kind of makes me feel justified in like a 7-5 Big Sky team getting in, which UNC, the ship has sailed on that for us. But there's a couple, I think Sac State could still hit 7-5. They could still hit 8-4, I think. But it's going to be interesting seeing kind of how some of these shake up. I also thought it was funny that there's chaos all around the FCS. South Dakota State's losing. UC Davis is losing. Portland State's winning. And then
all of a sudden they just put 4 touchdowns on DeLon Thompson. He just comes out of nowhere, rushes for 3, catches 1. Like, what? Like, all of a sudden Portland State is a worthwhile team, like literally having a Sac State UNC game over here.
And then UNC, nothing but consistent, still out here getting beat by 48 to Montana State. That's like the most, if you look at the scoreboard, you're like, yeah, that one makes sense. None of the other ones do, but UNC getting blown out by Montana State makes sense.
But not making sense for the first time this year. So at least we had a happy, unnatural season in that part where 11 points was our bad beat. Now it's 48.
Let's get into some of these Big Sky games. Yeah, we touched on Tarleton. We touched South Dakota State lost to Indiana State.
Oh, what other Incarnate Word beating Lamar? That one sucked. That wasn't good. And then other bad beat, which, well, I mean, it depends on who you ask. Some people love them, some people hate them. South Dakota takes down everybody's all of a sudden favorite this week, North Dakota, saying, top 5 North Dakota. Well, not anymore.
Yeah, I think especially with what the rest of what happened, South Dakota's going to be in the top 25 this week. I don't think there's too much question about that because they were knocking on the door already. And then NDSU almost losing. I mean, they didn't really almost lose, but 38-30 against Youngstown State is a closer score than you expect to see.
Yeah, and then Dayton, got on everybody's radar because they put a blemish on the Blue Hose. And then San Diego's out here being San Diego, pissing off everybody else's day at 5-4.
But let's move inwards to the Big Sky here, if I can get the correct tab open, and I do. Yeah, the most interesting. I tend to not do that, but I'll start with the most interesting because that's probably best practice. Idaho State upsetting UC Davis. Crazy. I see Idaho State division. You mentioned who's the running back?
Jason.
With 219 yards. Yeah, an average of 9.1 per carry. Looking like LJ Phillips out there. Jordan Cook, 21 to 36, 252 with 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If I had to like frame a Jordan Cook stat line and be like, give me the full experience, it would be that. Sion Nunnally, 9 catches, 119 yards. Samuel Batu had 112 yards. So like just Caden Pinnock had a great return game, 23 32, 325. I think I'm about out of stats to read off, Ben. So what do you think of this one?
Yeah, Jordan Fisher doing what Jordan Fisher does with over 108 yards across the board, like electric. It all came down to mistakes. Unfortunately, while both sides had 2 interceptions, it was all about timing. It looked like UC Davis had a great drive going, throws it just a little too low over the middle, and it's snagged. Unfortunately, that was game ender right there. All the Bengal kiddies had to do was just kneel it down. But yeah, UC Davis was making a push to try to salvage the game and whatnot, but Idaho State getting the shocker and their 3rd win of the season, Chris. They are now finally tied with us win-wise.
Which is crazy because they've had such a talk about Southern Utah with the gauntlet. They had the 2 Mountain West games against UNLV and New Mexico, both of which are shown to be pretty solid teams. They were in those games. But I think Idaho State's they're right there knocking on. I don't know. They're one of those middle tier teams where like Idaho, that'll be a fun game later in the year. Idaho State, Idaho. I think they're on that level where they can beat anybody but lose to anybody, and that makes the Big Sky a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, looking at it, you might be right. Idaho State might have had the top 2, maybe top 3 hardest schedules in the Big Sky. UNLV, Southern Utah, New Mexico, first 3 losses. Then they played Lincoln Sycamore. Beat us, go to Montana, just barely lose that one. Go to Montana
10-point lead in the 4th quarter against Montana.
Right. And then lose big to Montana State. And then Northern Arizona took care of business. But this week, Bengal Kitties took care of business. Strange circumstances in the Big Sky for sure.
All right, Sac State takes down Eastern Washington 35-13 in a game in which Cardell Williams threw 6 passes and Rodney Hammond Jr. ran for 208 yards. Sac State, why throw the ball if you ain't got to? And they have had a couple games this year where they just haven't had to. So I still like Sacramento State. Coach Lamb calling them a triple option team, basically. It has more and more to it when you see another game like this. Granted, there was like a 300-plus yard passing game for Cardell Williams sandwiched in between, but I think Eastern Washington coming back down to earth a little bit. They had a very favorable Big Sky schedule to start and ended up 3-1, and now I think they're probably going to finish 3-5, 4-4, kind of more where they should have been.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I don't know what the health of Nate Bell is because I didn't get a chance to watch this one, but
he had 6 completions for 14 yards, but Jake Shakel had like 38 attempts, so I don't know exactly how that came to be, but
right, just like them going away from Nate Bell being like the main guy and like basically just running back plus like. I think that's why they lost this game. They were usually getting 200 yards of rushing. They do 30 carries for 38 yards. Disgusting. While on the other side of the ball, Sac State just rubbed it in their face with 56 carries for 376 yards and 5 touchdowns. Just nasty. Nasty Service Academy type game.
And Portland State, as we mentioned, 40, Cal Poly 35. Portland State will not finish winless this season. I sure hope they don't get any momentum off of this because I don't think my pride could handle another season-ending loss to Portland State. Then, so I'm just gonna pretend this result didn't happen.
Yeah, this one again, like deviated from the quarterback that was working with Bo Kelly, went with Ty Diefenbach, and it was a very mediocre game on Cal Poly's side of the ball, outside of Diefenbach running the ball and Kendrick Sanders getting 14 carries for 121 yards and one touchdown. Really, it all came down to DeLon Thompson, 26 carries, 184 yards, three touchdowns. On top of that, he also had three catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. I don't know what to say about Portland State. Like, they've been just absolutely getting dog walked all season long. And Cal Poly throws a little wrench in their system of starters, and all of a sudden, they look like a football team. Even their quarterback, their little Keone over there, 17 for 26, 252, 1-1 for touchdowns and interceptions. Overall, like, I hate to say it, Portland State looks like a football team.
Then we have Montana going to Weber State and taking care of business, 38-17. Not too much to pull away from this one, Ben. But what are your thoughts?
Ayat played a clean game, and that's what everybody's been saying is he's been improving. Things have bbeen getting better as the week goes on. I was kind of surprised they didn't beat him by more, honestly. But Gilman in his stride, 12 for 122 yards and a touchdown. Ayat, like I said, clean, not an exciting game, but 15 for 27 for 296 and two touchdowns. Overall, Weber State just doesn't have a quarterback, and it shows. Like Coulter May, the fullback, had the most carries. He had 19 for 74, which shout out fullbacks. That's a good day for him.
Making
But
my all conference vote simply because his name was Coulter and sounded
right,
like a fullback. Look, you know, just making me fucking learn some bad lessons here.
yeah. I mean, just none of the usual suspects at Weber State wanted to do anything besides Jalen Record, 8 for 107 and two touchdowns. But outside of that, just a pretty abysmal effort by Weber State.
All right, pivoting forward here to next week, I believe this is the. Oh, I guess we had a full. Nope, there were two teams on buys last week. So getting into the. I think we've got all the Big Sky buys out of the way. Oh, nope, there weren't a buy. They just played a game on Friday. Okay, so nonetheless, 6 games this week, 6 games next week. I don't even know what one looks the most appealing. So I don't know which one to either start with or save. But let's start with Eastern. Let's just go from the top and go Eastern
Chris,
Washington.
we're going past the second most interesting game of the week with Idaho taking out NAU in overtime.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It was Friday. I
The
completely
2 points in
forgot.
the dark, 2 points in the light.
Yeah, this one I don't want to say like crushes Northern Arizona's playoff hopes, but like puts a big damper in a
It
team that
puts it
was
on life support for sure.
pretty I would say before this game was like gonna be going to the playoffs, but now it's interesting. It's interesting. So they'll be playing with a little extra hunger against UNC here next week.
Yeah, Seth Cromwell was kind of the star of the show. Ty Pennington didn't do anything bad. It was just kind of just a meh game. Just 23 for 34 for 267 and a touchdown. Cromwell was running his heart out at 18 carries for 116, a 6.4 average, no touchdowns though, and ultimately it just came down to who had the ball last. NAU spreading the ball around quite a bit, but Idaho doing what they needed to just be more consistent, better averages, a lot of long play breaks for Idaho. So those averages are pretty inflated. I mean, 1 for 30, that makes for a good average right there. But overall, Joshua Wood, he doesn't look like neither of these. These were our incumbents for quarterback of the year, and I wouldn't say that. I would say Pennington has the yards. He has the cleanliness on touchdowns versus interceptions, but I just wouldn't say that like offensive player of the year is necessarily going to be a quarterback. I don't think it was premature when we asked that question at week 6 or so.
I think it could be a yacht. I think it could also be Eli Gilman.
Yeah. I feel like there's just too many playmakers in the league, but overall...
Oh, it also could be Michael Wortham. I think that's probably the leading contender from the Montana roster, at least.
No, Montana's probably got about 3 candidates for sure. But I'm sure they'll continue to put on those stats this week as they host Eastern Washington. And Chris, I don't think there's enough red in the logos to put out how much of a bloodbath this is going to be.
Yeah, so the FCS Sportsbook, which just absolutely kicked our ass last week, has this one at a 23.5-point margin favoring Montana. So with that information in mind, Ben, what do you think? Montana minus 23.5?
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be down bad, ugly. And unless Montana just wants to be like crisp and clean and just try some stuff, I think they're just going to unleash. This is going to be a stats getting day. It's going to be 1 p.m. They're just going to put on a full-on barbecue.
You know what? That's a good point. I think this will be the aforementioned Michael Wortham will have a bit of a... I think they'll find ways, even beyond what they're already doing, to get him the ball against his old team. It does make me think about it with the line being this big and me just being a Montana hater this year. But just me saying that out loud has me doubting it.
You can pick against it just to be different. I mean,
I should.
There's a lot to go.
I should pick against it just to be different because our intuition was so wrong last week. Me and you both. But I'm going to go with Montana. I'll hold with you on that one because they haven't played one of those games where they just go out and dominate. So I think, and they, as much as I talk shit, they are a good enough team to have that in them. So
look at you giving the best backhanded compliment possible. You're like, I like you. You suck, but I like you.
Okay, so now moving to the strictly better Montana team. As if I didn't give it laid on big enough there.
We'll hash that out next week after this.
Weber State heading to Montana State, and the Bobcats are a 29-point favorite.
Wow, 29. Damn, I had a cute little Disney song all queued up of like, anything you can do, I can do better. Screw it, I'll take it. I feel bad about it, but this is not me believing in Montana State that much. It's me saying Weber State is that bad. Yeah, we'll rock with it. We'll rock with the Disney song. We'll say Montana State goes past that, but
I know.
That's a hard line for anybody to stomach, even UNC.
I'm going to go with Weber State just because I don't even know. It's just such a big number that I feel like I should go with Weber State.
I'm saying out of respect to us is that if we can get blown out by 48, I feel like Weber State can take an L of similar fashion.
That's a good point. I feel like it's Montana State had like a pretty an everything game against us, and I'm gonna count on a little regression coupled with Weber State. I think is not a good team by any means, but I think they have actually gotten better throughout the season. So I'll go with Weber State and pray for a 4-touchdown loss and not anymore, which takes us to Sac State heading to the upstart Portland State Vikings at 1-7. And the Hornets are favored by 19.5 in this one.
That's a good one. Wow. The lines are going to be rough this week. Yeah. 19, you said? 19.5?
19.5.
Oh, I want to pick against Sac State, but it's Portland State. I'll pick Sac State. They go further than that.
I'm with you. I think Portland State kind of shot their wad. What's the PG version of that phrase? I whatever it is, they did that. They they blew their load a little too early. That's not it. That's worse. But yeah. So
far from Disney at this point.
I'm with you. Let's move to UNC heading to Northern Arizona, and the Bears are We broke this one down a little bit in the Bear with us, so we don't have to get too deep into it. But the Bears are a 9-point underdog heading into this one.
Wow.
Which, again, feels right. Like, that feels like the correct line.
I want it to be the correct line. I don't know what we look like after this week. I want Gibson to come back, have a breakout game, get a big win that he deserves, and then just kind of like play out the rest of the season and see what happens. I want that. I want that so badly. But I don't know what we look like. I don't know what our conference is like. I'll be honest, Coach looked fucking exhausted after that game. I don't know if like just the kiddos at home are driving him nuts, and the wife has a long honeydew list, or it really was just a long week at UNC football. But I'm gonna pick against the Bears. I want to see a win in Flagstaff, especially since I'm going. I'll be helping out Pirate Radio with the broadcast with our good friend Jacob, having to go to an unfortunate event. But I want the Bears to win for Garrett. I'm just not going to pick it on the line.
That's fair. Let's move to Cal Poly heading to Idaho State, which, Ben, I'll give you $1 if you can guess the line.
Cal Poly, Idaho State?
Yeah. And just know it's not going to be what you... Just the fact that I'm asking you to guess, it should let you know that it's going to be an odd one.
Is it even?
Yep, it's a pick'em.
Nice.
You nailed it. I mean, technically, I think they have Cal Poly favored by a half point, but
by a half.
For all intents and purposes, this is a pick'em.
Okay, well, I would have gotten that wrong. I would have given Idaho State the half after last week.
I would have too. That's why it's surprising to me, but
I'm taking Idaho State for sure because, like, I'm gonna go completely based off of what I picked the last one off of. Is just Idaho State coming off a big win, maybe a little bit inflated egos. Maybe they missed some stuff during this game, but it's a home game. You just had a big upset. I feel like momentum's on their side. Cal Poly much improved, but the lack of consistency at quarterback scares me.
I get you. That makes sense. I'm going Cal Poly strictly because this is a rat line. There's no reason it should be a pick'em. Okay. I think it's like it's one of those where the sports book knows more than me, so I'm just gonna go against what I feel. And even the r/FCS sports book, they you can have your qualms with their algorithm. It got our asses last week, and it was pretty solid.
I mean, isn't that what a line's supposed to do, though?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to take Cal Poly. One day I'll stop doing that. But let's move forward to actually UC Davis heading to Idaho, where the Aggies are a 2.5-point favorite at the Kibbe Dome.
Yeah. I mean, big upset by Idaho. So kudos to them. Got a win they probably didn't deserve. But here we are, like UC Davis. They shit the bed against the Bengal Kitties. Bad turnovers, bad decisions. Ultimately, just was not the same type of machine in operation that they have been all season. But I'm gonna pick UC Davis because I don't see Idaho having that same consistency and drive 2 weeks in a row. I feel like it was more so NAU's mistakes rather than Idaho was that much better. I think they just cashed in at appropriate moments where NAU never capitalized on the turnovers and momentum that they should have.
That's fair. I'm going to go with UC Davis. I don't really have a good reason. This one just feels like Idaho. It'll be a letdown game coming off of just a really emotional win. I still don't really like Idaho's coach. I don't think he's the guy for the job. I think they're going to toil away in mediocrity as long as he's there, and that's fine by me. I don't have anything against Idaho. I just don't. We don't need the top of the conference to be crowded if UNC is going to start ascending.
You heard it here, fighting taters. Chris hates you.
But okay, so What do you have a game outside of the Big Sky that feels right for a game of the week? South Dakota is going, or I think South Dakota is hosting SDSU. I don't know what the deal with Mason is, whether he'll be back on that one. That makes a big difference, I would
Yeah,
say.
Mason was not back this week, and it was an absolute shitfest. I don't know how you scored 12 points as South Dakota State. Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, not even try to qualify them as the number they need to be this week. Just being in that program with that tradition and that pedigree, I don't know how you qualify a game like that. That was just such a disgusting output by them. Just looking through right now, New Hampshire, Monmouth, interesting, not big enough. Just looking through real quick, see
They
if there's
have
anything
both.
huge.
It's also North Dakota State, but that's even less interesting to me because NDSU should just take care of business.
That seems like one of those where it's like it's North Dakota State's world. Like I don't even want to get into like who's top five and whatnot this week, just because like it's the Montanas and North Dakota State. Like, what else are we gonna say? Like, I still believe in Tarleton. I still believe in South Dakota State if Mason's healthy, but Walking Boot says don't believe in that.
We don't. We also don't have to pick a game of the week. If I think my vote is going to South Dakota State, but that's so dependent on quarterback health, and the
There we
line's
go,
going to
Chris.
be
I got us a good one.
okay.
Um, it's two fringe Southland teams. This will be
Oh yeah,
a
sickos.
real shot in the dark. We have 7-2 Southeastern Louisiana again, going to 7-2 Lamar, who just shit the bed against Incarnate Word. Southeastern Louisiana, they just played Eastern Texas A&M, formerly Texas A&M Commerce, and beat them 59-14. I don't know if that says much because they were a transitioning team. I think this is their first FCS season entirely. Other notable results on Southeastern's resume for your consideration. They beat Houston Christian 38-14 at Houston Christian last week. Earlier in the season, they beat upstart UTRGV 45-31. And they lost 24-0 against Louisiana Tech and 56-10 against LSU. As for Lamar, awful week against psychopath Incarnate Word. Was such a topsy-turvy season for them for sure. Looking at it, Lamar did beat UTRGV. Feels like I have to spell that out in military acronyms almost. 23-21. Just a few weeks ago, they beat Nickel 24-17. They also played East Texas A&M 33-23. Notable win on their record is they beat South Dakota early in the year 20-13. I think right before or right after we saw them.
Right before.
So interesting stuff on their slate. Big games coming up for Lamar afterwards is FF's Austin, which has been an interesting team this year. And following this, to kind of decide, the Southland will include Incarnate Word going, or Southeastern Louisiana going to Incarnate Word. So a bit of an interesting matchup for kind of like who takes precedence over the Southland.
Ben, I hate that you're making me devote brain power to this game. But I think you're right. I think it is the winner of the week. Southeastern Louisiana is favored by 12 points, which feels kind of crazy to me, but I'm going to pick Lamar because I don't think these two teams are 12 points away from each other. But if C-Law came in and just won by 4 touchdowns, I wouldn't really be surprised. So I'm going to take Lamar in the points just because they've earned it this season. I think they've shown to be a tough team. They're not like just dismantling and destroying lower teams like C-Law kind of has, but they've been just consistent. And Incarnate Word's not a good loss, but it's also, they were 4th in the preseason polls, so it's not like an absolutely heinous defeat. So I'll take Lamar and just not feel good about it either way.
Yeah, I was trying to give you another substitute for this week. Really, just trying to get away from Missouri Valley
No,
Conference
I
play.
think it's a good
Kind
shine
of a
on the
palate
Southland.
cleanser.
Yeah,
The only
yeah.
other one besides this would be the one you mentioned, or Southern Illinois at Youngstown State, but both unranked. That'd be a matter of who gets to be ranked. This one, both teams are ranked, and who gets to stay and who's ultimately
A loser leaves town.
a winnable position for their conference. I'm gonna go with Selah, or SLU as they like to be called nowadays.
Or just Southeastern. When did that
Southeastern.
happen?
Yeah,
That's how they're listed in the sports book, is just under Southeastern.
I don't know. Everybody wants to be different, feel special. That's all good. Also, might be like the best lion logo that I've seen in a while. I mean, like pretty solid, strong
So,
rebranding. I'm gonna go with Selah because I think the momentum of Lamar getting
that is a good line.
rocked, like it's just I feel like they're going to be too pressured to produce. So I'm going to pick Southeastern.
All right. Um, and yeah, we'll be back to we'll do a top 25 stuff next week. We're trying to have a little shorter of an episode here, and also, who the hell knows how this is going to shake out.
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like there's some soul searching that needs to be done. But while you're searching for your soul, you could go to Crave Barbecue and search for some good soul food in the barbecue. Premium all beef hot dogs, fantastic barbecue options across the board. Really just a good place to just stretch out, hang out. They got board games. It's a big restaurant. You know, if you're kind of like just want to like watch football in the corner all by yourself, you definitely can. You can post up in the far corner. You could post up in the comfy chairs right next to the smoked whiskey and the self pour beer wall. Lots of options over at Crave. We appreciate Todd and Heath for being such great neighbors to us, and all the great food that we've gotten there.
Also, underrated place to go, like if you want to work while you have some lunch, solid
Ooh.
Wi-Fi. It's not like a place that I feel like you would think of for that, but have yourself an afternoon beer while you're working on something. It's big. There's, even if there's like 20, 30 people in that restaurant, it's not going to feel like you're crowded or anything. So legitimately, I have been pitching for I tell everybody I know about this place, and I try
If
to
you
get
need an
them.
outlet, it's over by the game station. I
That's
know
true.
that. I had to charge a phone or two there.
But all right, as always, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, review, stop into Crave, tell them Bear Claw Media sent you. And if you don't like what we're doing, do not stop into Crave, or do, but just don't talk shit on us. But the Bear Claw Media complaint department always open. Ben's got his dukes up, as you can see. He's feeling rather catty this morning, so have a good one.